My long-awaited first grandchild. How many years I've waited for this day. No need for a barren daughter-in-law. On the day it was decided we'd discuss at home my husband's affair with my best friend, surprisingly, my mother-in-law also showed up and shared something shocking. What? Mary, you're pregnant? I've known about you two and the baby for quite a while. Turns out, my best friend Mary was pregnant with my husband's child. That's why this penthouse is mine. The view from the top, looking down on you, couldn't be better. Hand over the wife's role and leave already. As I listened in tears, my best friend and mother-in-law relentlessly insulted me. There was no one on my side. Crushed by sadness and frustration, I hid in the bathroom, recalling my life with William, memories with Mary, and constant nagging from my mother-in-law, feeling nauseous. But I had to suppress those feelings and confront reality. There was only one thing for me to do. I made up my mind and went back to the living room. All right. I'll leave this house today. I wish you all happiness. To my surprise, my bold declaration made them stare at me, wide-eyed. I had a vague idea of what their future held. My name is Patricia. I met William, an entrepreneur, at a matchmaking party in our 20s and got married. Because William was an entrepreneur, his behavior at the party was by far the best among all the men. Moreover, everything he wore was high-end, making it obvious at a glance that he was wealthy. From afar, I watched women flocking around him. Then, he approached me. Nice to meet you, I'm William. Would you like to chat? Though surprised, I may not have William's charisma, but I've worked hard to get my company where it is. However, William often looked down on me. Is your company even running properly? It's tiny, right? Compared to mine, which is skyrocketing without a break. Really, that's great. Mine's doing okay, I guess. Well, it's because you're a woman running it. It was very frustrating to be belittled for not being as successful, but as we were married, I tried to bear it. But William was also somewhat domineering. As soon as he got home, he'd say things in a strong tone like, "Is dinner not ready yet? Is the bath ready?" I could tolerate it at first, but lately, it's been getting worse. I'm tired from managing both work and household chores. In the beginning, he treasured me and treated me specially. I wonder when William had changed. I respect his side of being entrepreneur, but I'm only filled with complaints about husband's side of him. Without considering my troubles, William often invited people over for drinks. His friends are top-notch entrepreneurs known in the business world. Hosting them, I got to know various industry leaders. After all, as a business owner, he is probably concerned about his successor. William's friends often asked about children. When talking about kids with his friends, William would laugh it off, "I'm working hard on making kids." But there's an issue with Patricia's body, right? Right, Patricia, leaving me with a forced smile. Hearing such conversations in the kitchen made my heart ache. Our marriage wasn't bad, but we were never blessed with children. I started to wonder if it was my body's fault and began visiting an OB/GYN. Listening more, it seemed that Mary and William had married soon after our divorce. Initially, everything was smooth sailing. William was doing things for Mary he never did for me, and it seemed like she had a good relationship with Sophia. Mother-in-law was so excited for the baby to be born, she'd come over every day, even deciding on a name already. Oh, really? And then? William would come home early from work, and it was happy times. But such a good husband was entirely unlike the William the first knew. However, not long after they started living together, a letter arrived. When Mary read it, it was about the mortgage payments being overdue. She confronted William about what was going on. Initially, William pretended he knew nothing. But she pressed over and over again. He finally snapped, "I'm doing my best here," sticking to that same excuse without giving any real explanation. Frustrated with William's lack of detail, Mary decided to contact me, likely out of desperation. $20,000 a month. How are you even paying that? William loves himself too much. He probably expected the reminders about the mortgage to start coming in. It was inevitable that the reminder notices would come. After all, William hadn't been paying the mortgage since we were married. To be precise, he hadn't paid it for the past 5 years. Before that, his company was doing well, and William was the higher earner. Naturally, William was making the mortgage payments. At that time, William contributed 80%, and I contributed 20% of our individual incomes towards it. Even when times were good, we were both paying for it, so it was obvious that once we divorced, the payments wouldn't be manageable. In fact, William's company had been underperforming for about 5 years. The reason was simple. Competing companies were gaining momentum. Conversely, my business was on an upward trajectory. When William frequently invited people over to our home, I was able to make numerous connections. Among them was a business owner in app development, with whom I became close and started working together. Partnering with this business owner made it smoother to advance my work supporting women. With that, our user base exploded, and our performance significantly improved. My annual income surged to $1 million. I could afford the monthly $20,000 mortgage payment on my own. It seems William never told Mary about this. Hearing this for the first time, Mary freaked out. Understandably so. For Mary, a regular office worker, paying such an amount was impossible. This was why I was confident when I left the house. As a business owner myself, I understood what was to become of William's company. I had no sympathy for Mary, who cheated without considering such things. Of course, it would be impossible for the two of them to keep up with the $20,000 monthly payments now. Being kicked out of the house was only a matter of time. I pumped my fist in victory over the phone. On the other end, Mary was muttering in confusion. That man, he's the worst. I should have never married him. Amused, I said. Hello? Can you hear me? Are you okay? Then, I heard shouting from the other end. What are you laughing at? You're the worst. You liar. Liar. That word made me snap back to calmness. Who's the liar? Sneaking around cheating, smiling at me as if nothing happened. Don't mess with me. Mary fell silent. I vented all my feelings in my next words. Good riddance, don't ever call me again, you cheater. And with that, I hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, I felt strangely relieved for some reason. Soon after that call, it seems William quickly divorced Mary. Their marriage was short-lived, but I thought she got to enjoy some luxury for a bit. I haven't heard from Mary since, but we're still connected on social media. Apparently, she carelessly vented about the situation to a coworker. The story spread within her company, making it uncomfortable for her to stay. Mary left her job and went back to her parents' home. Having a small child and being unemployed is pitiable for the child's future. This is all information I heard from mutual friends. She's too embarrassed to talk about it much, only sharing it with a few people. But it seems she hasn't realized yet that just like she betrayed a friend, now she's been betrayed by friends. What goes around comes around. Though I hadn't heard from Mary, her parents suddenly contacted me. They wanted to apologize on behalf of their family of 3. It appears Mary had told her parents about marrying William but not about the circumstances leading up to it. I felt it was wrong to have her parents come and apologize to me, so I respectfully declined, and instead of accepting their apology, I asked Mary's parents. Please make sure to sternly tell Mary to never do something like this again. Her parents readily agreed to my request. Mary might be pushed into a worse situation, but it's unavoidable. I want her to regret her actions and carry them with her for life. Another half-year passed. My company has grown to be somewhat well-known and continues to grow. Then, one Sunday afternoon, my doorbell rang unexpectedly. The intercom showed my ex-husband William and my former mother-in-law Sophia. The epitome of unwelcome guests. The 2 people I never wanted to see again were at my doorstep at the same time. Is this some dream? Or perhaps a prank? No, this is reality. There was absolutely nothing to talk about. I intended to send them away quickly. What do you want? I don't want to see your faces again, so please leave. I spoke coldly through the intercom. Given what they had done to me, it was a natural response. Please. Just a moment of your time to talk face to face. Patricia, please. I won't move from here until you come out. I didn't want to cause a disturbance for my neighbors. I decided to meet them at a nearby cafe. Once we arrived, I got straight to the point. What is it you want? I don't think there's anything left to discuss between us. Sophia was the first to respond. Don't be so cold, Patricia. Sophia said, calling me by name, which immediately gave me goosebumps of aversion. Sophia continued, speaking to William with a stern voice. Come on. It's polite for you to speak first. Hurry up and say it. After glaring at Sophia, William looked at me and began to speak. The truth is, we were kicked out of the penthouse. This was exactly the turn of events I had hoped for. While I remained calm on the outside, inside, I was jumping for joy. Then, William said something truly shocking. Patricia, could we start over again? He looked at me with a seriousness I had never seen before. For some reason, Sophia was smiling. It was incredibly unsettling. I was taken aback by his unexpected proposal, but quickly regained my composure and responded. That's impossible. Do you really understand what you've done and what you're asking now? William looked down, and the smile disappeared from Sophia's face. Of course. Their convenient thinking disgusted me even more. Then, William, still looking down, began to speak. The truth is, the child Mary gave birth to wasn't mine. Listening further, it turns out Sophia felt something was off because the child looked nothing like William. She suggested a paternity test for William and Mary. The test revealed that the child was not William's. The child belonged to another man Mary had been having an affair with. In fact, while receiving financial support from William, Mary was in a common-law marriage with another man who was actually her main partner. William was just the affair partner. Hearing this, I thought Mary was truly beyond redemption. It seems the mortgage on the penthouse wasn't the only reason for their divorce. The reason they couldn't have children also came to light. It was an issue with William. I had suspected as much. It is when we were still married and worried about not being able to conceive. I went to a gynecologist and my tests showed no problems. The doctor mentioned that the issue might lie with my husband. I had asked William to visit the clinic with me several times, but he insisted there was no issue on his end. If only he had been tested earlier, there might have been something we could do. I felt a bit of pity for William. I too was deceived by Mary. I'm a victim here. So please, consider starting over with me. Following that, Sophia spoke. I'm getting older, and I don't know how many years I have left. Having you back would be such a relief. Despite their emotional appeals, nothing they said could change my feelings by even a millimeter. There will never be a chance for us to get back together. I made it clear to them. Surprisingly, both of them began to prostrate themselves before me. I'll never cheat again. I absolutely need you, Patricia, William said, looking into my eyes earnestly. The moment you cheated was the moment you lost any chance with me. As I coldly dismissed him, Sophia began to get infuriated. How can you be so cold after we've begged like this? You're a terrible person. The worst kind of woman. Hearing that made me snap. The worst ones are you. Coming to me now, of all times. You and I are strangers now. Don't ever contact me again. Never, ever. I delivered my final blow to them. Perhaps my firm resolve got through to them because they finally backed down quietly. Without saying another word, they left their payment on the table, bowed deeply, and left. After that, I never saw them again. From time to time, I hear about how the three of them are doing through mutual friends. First off, Mary was scolded severely by her parents, just as I had asked. Then, she left her child with her parents and came to my company. She begged me for a job, saying she needed to work. Of course, I refused. She left quickly after being refused at first, but came back to my workplace several times. Eventually, I warned Mary out of annoyance. If you step foot on my company's property again, I'll call the police. Mary must have been frightened by that because she never showed up again. As an aside, Mary's common-law husband is unemployed and leaves all the household tasks to Mary, apparently. As for William, his once thriving company never recovered and went bankrupt without ceremony. Even after starting a new company, it didn't go well. He's struggling with a significant amount of debt borrowed from banks and is living a tough life. Now, he's working on a construction site. William used to call people who worked in construction the bottom rung of losers. He never imagined he'd end up on that side. But now I work in a sweatshop without time to think about such things. I hope he realizes that such work is not the bottom of anything. However, William and Sophia's income has drastically decreased, and they live together in a dilapidated, cramped apartment. On my end, I regularly hold seminars related to women's support. I enjoy a fulfilling life, hosting tea parties with my students. Moreover, my company continues to do well, and I'm not struggling financially at all. Most importantly, I've found a new partner. He's the entrepreneur I worked with on app development. Initially a connection through William, but now he supports me after hearing about this ordeal. We've found each other as the best partners, ready to face challenges together. I had a very hard time now I think of it, but at the end I got a lot of happiness and am living very happily.